Hello and welcome to Endless Becoming. I am so sorry that it's taken me so long to get another video out. I've been having the most emotionally charged last, I don't even know, few weeks, maybe a month and a half at this point. I will probably go into it all at a later time, but I think I'm in my Saturn return, which for all you astrology people is like a very, very intense um existential crisis. Like, oh my gosh, it's more than that. It's like I've literally feel like every part of me has been stripped open and like is just raw. Like I was literally full out maybe a month ago being like, who am I? What do I like? Do I even like what I like? What is programming versus what is me? Like, who am I? What is me? Like, straight up, like, my therapist laughed at me, not in a mean way. I love her. I've been seeing her for so long, but I think she was just like, oh, so it's one of those. It's one of those. Yeah. Um, and then I went to New York for 2 weeks, which is where I'm from. I had two weddings. I was a bridesmaid in one, attendee in another. Brown weddings, Indian weddings, brown weddings in general are just a lot. So I just feel like, oh, and I also never really enjoy going back home to New York. People love New York City, but for me, it just starts, I don't know, it just feels like the place where I grew up, the place where I struggle even more to figure out who, like this is who I used to be, this is who I am now. So, it's been a full ringer all around, but I'm so happy to be back in Austin. So happy to be like settling back into a schedule now that I've been home for some time. And I wanted to record a video and I wanted to get back to this because I feel so good when I'm recording. I'm not recording, when I'm like making this content, when I'm putting it out there, that I've just been waiting to feel like it's time. Like it's time to come back. So hello and thank you for bearing with me, bearing with the delay, I guess. I promise to be more consistent from now on. That is a goal that I have for myself, and speaking things out loud is very powerful, so I am committing on camera. It's probably going to exist on the world wide web forever, or who knows, a very long time. So, I wanted to start by sharing something that came up for me last week. And I think before I even get into that story, I want to talk about a book that I was reading. So I read a lot of fantasy and I read a lot, like pretty often. And I often find that the books that I'm reading are so applicable to what's going on in my life. Like I genuinely feel divinely called to read some of these books. I know that sounds crazy, but bear with me. So I'm reading this book. I'm just going to like very overarchingly paraphrase everything. So I don't want to talk about like the author or the like, name of the book. I just don't want to go into that right now. But if you're interested, reach out and I will tell you. Um so the premise is that it's set in a Greek mythology world, and there's so many gods in Greek mythology, like Zeus, Ares. Zeus is like the head god. Ares is like the god of war. Aphrodite of beauty. Athena, I think she's like the warrior god. I don't know. Hades, god of the underworld. Persephone, his wife, but there's such a story with her, with the pomegranate seeds. If you know, you know. It's not that big of a deal. But anyway, so all of these gods sort of colluded and they worked to create this woman, who's like the main character in the book. And they all kind of worked together to like give her different gifts or give her different talents and abilities. And they like also, after she was born, like Ares pretended to be her personal, like her guard growing up. Persephone became like her adoptive mother when she ran away from home at 15. Like there was just like a lot of ways in which the gods kind of like were in her life, but were guiding her in her life. And at one point when she finds out, when she's like, you all created me for this, yet like she lived a really tough life, like very abusive situation in her home, understatement. Which is why she ran away at so young. Her mom was like forcing her to kill her sister, not a good mother, not a good lady. just like all of this abuse. Like she like grew up like in terror that her brothers or her older other siblings were going to kill her. Like there was a lot of like not war, like power struggles in her household. Her mother was very, very insecure, and her mother was like queen of a realm. These are the types of books I read, yes. And and she gets so mad. She's like, you're literally gods. Like, you had the power to take away my suffering. If you built me to do this thing that you wanted me to do, why did you let me suffer for so long? And they go, your suffering is what made you who you are. And if you hadn't gone through that suffering, you would not be the person we need you to be today. Mic drop. Then it's almost like she's built to unite various realms, and she thinks that she's supposed to kill her mom. She thinks that's like the ultimate like goal. She's trying to wipe out her mother. She just thinks that's a very integral part, like a step that she has to take. And there's multiple instances by this time we're in the third book where she tries to kill her mom, but she falters. It's like her mother. And even though a part of her hates her mother, a part of her also has always wanted her mom to be her mom, which I can very much relate to. And there's this one instance where she fails at killing her mom, and the gods show up. Two of them show up. They're really upset. They're like, what the heck? Like, that was your chance. And she's like, I know, you're right. Like, I faltered, but I will not falter next time. Because what happened is, instead of killing her mom, she got put in a dire situation where she had to like level up. She was like forced to level up, essentially. She realized truths about herself. She realized she has other powers she didn't know she had. And all of this happened because she couldn't kill her mom in that scene. And so the way I interpreted that, or like what that meant to me, was, yes, we can be put in situations where we're like, this is the right time, this is the right place. Like, I have to do what I'm here to do. If I don't do it, I'm going to fail. But in the failing, which I don't think is always failing, like, she learned so much about herself. She unlocked powers she didn't know she had. And I feel like, for me, that is such a real example. Like, I see this kind of stuff in my life all the time. I'll be resentful over like, why did I live such a hard life, or why did I struggle with all these things? But then I'm like, wait, because I struggled, like, if I love who I am today, I was giving this advice to a friend over the weekend. If I love who I am today, how can I hate my past? How can I regret my past? How can I feel resentment over my past when I am who I am because of my past? And the part about like not being in the right place at the right time, last week I was in the situation where let me go into my personal story now. I was in a situation where I was supposed to work a music festival on Saturday. It was a one-day music festival. It was like a women's empowerment type situation, like all female artists, all female like businesses, things like that. On Tuesday, I find out that men are not allowed to work the festival. And I was banking on my husband. My husband is my number one sales associate for the business. He knows the business so well. He can turn on this charismaticness, which is funny because he can actually be pretty reserved in real life. But as a sales associate, this man just blossoms. He like knows the jargon. He knows how to answer any questions. Like, I feel very confident and safe with him, like when he's got my back at these markets. And this was like a very long thing. Like, the festival was 1 to 10 p.m. I was going to get there at 11:30 to do my setup and stuff. And when I found out that my husband couldn't go, I kid you not, my heart just dropped. And because I have worked 5-hour markets alone indoors, and I have died. I don't know. I guess it's like the energy for me wanes. I get like sitting in one place all the time. And this was an outdoor market. It was like double that time. So I was very concerned. And even though I had friends who were going to stop by on Saturday, and I was really, really grateful for their support, I still felt like they didn't know that, like, I would still have to be there with them because they didn't really know about the business. They couldn't really answer questions. Yeah, they could ring up sales. I could take a break. I could step away. That was going to be awesome. But you know what I mean? Like, my husband is like my emotional support animal, emotional support human, I guess. Maybe sounds better, less less disrespectful. He thinks it's funny when I call him that, though. And I'm taking an intuition class also, which I can like share more about if you're curious or like talk about in a different video potentially. But everything I was learning in my intuition class, like the tools I have learned, were telling me that I was supposed to go to this festival, that I was going to potentially meet someone who would like elevate my career, who would like launch my career, and I needed to go. And there was a part of me that was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I have two friends coming. Like, it'll be okay. I'll survive. It'll be okay. But then there was a part of me that was just like, I don't want to. Like, I have just been going through my existential crisis, which means a lot of breakdowns. I was just in New York for 2 weeks, got sick because of the running around. I wasn't sleeping a lot. Like, my trip to New York, I was like, very much like we were going place to place to place. We were like all around the tri state area because of the weddings. And I just didn't want to. And it was so interesting because on Monday I had a call. So this happened Tuesday. I found out last Tuesday. Last Monday I had a call where I was told, or we were talking about trusting in ourselves. And I have this situation where I'm like, okay, my intuition, I genuinely feel like there's a part of me that's like, I should go to this festival. I should work this festival. But then there's a bigger part of me, like this wounded part of me that's just like, listen to me, hear me. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. I was already exhausted thinking about going, but Abhishek, my husband, was going to be there. He was going to support me. It was all going to be okay. And I just feel very supported by him. And he's a good boy. And I was so torn. Like when I tell you, I spent Tuesday and Wednesday in like mental agony. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? What decision do I make? And I had to make a decision soon, right? Because they needed to know. Like if I'm not working on like Saturday, you'd want to know so you can move around your vendors and things like that. So I felt pressured. I felt like I can't trust myself because my intuition is supposed to be like that part of me that I trust, but the part of me that I thought I trusted is telling me to do something this wounded part of me doesn't want to do. And I was in so much agony mentally, not like physically. And I I ultimately and I tried to talk to people for help, but like sometimes like I don't know if you guys have had experiences. Sometimes you're not supposed to get help from anybody else. You're supposed to get help from yourself. You're supposed to trust yourself, but that is a hard freaking lesson to learn. And I would like talk to friends here and there and I would get their advice, but their advice was always like do what you think is best, which is it's the best advice, but it's so annoying when you're just like I just want to be a child and I want somebody to tell me what to do. I give this advice to people all the time. I'm like ultimately only you can decide what is best for you. I freaking hate myself sometimes. But I was feeling so bad because I was so torn. I'm like, I'm literally learning more about my intuition to get in touch with what inner me wants. But what if inner me does not want what like outer me wants? And ultimately, I made the decision. I trusted myself. I listened to that wounded part of me that was like, I need a break. I need some love. I need some loving. I need some parenting. I need some comforting because I cannot do what I think I'm supposed to do. And so I make the decision immediately, sense of peace. I tell the vendor, the market people very kindly, I'm like, hey, I can't do it. I'm really sorry. I feel really torn up about it. They were really kind. They were like, hey, we understand miscommunication. Here's your refund. Here's a free ticket if you want it. Come back next year. I had one of like the most fun days on Saturday. I kid you not. The day I was supposed to work at the market, I also, my schedule opened up. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna like do all these other things, and not that I had even planned to do all these things. I was just like, I'm a free flow. I'm gonna see where the day takes me. Left the house at like 10, no, 11. Came back at like 7:30. My husband was calling me. He's like, "Are you alive?" I was with friends. I wasn't alone, but he just like hadn't heard from me because my phone is like away when I'm out with people. But reading that book, so I finished that book after I made the decision not to go. I was just filled with this deepest sense of like, I did the right thing. I did what I was supposed to do. And I think it's so hard sometimes to know who to trust inside, like what voice to trust, what voice to listen to. And sometimes there might be something that we're meant to do that we're supposed to do. I fully believe I was meant to go to that festival. And one in some lifetime, on some timeline, I maybe went. I was meant to go to that festival. And yeah, I could have like had this opportunity to up level, but if I wasn't ready, which I wasn't, even if I had gone, I fully believe I would not have gotten the benefits um versus if I'd fully been committed to going in my heart. My heart wasn't in it. And ultimately, this game of intuition, what I'm learning is one that I'm supposed to like, I want to love. I want to love talking to my intuition. I want to be so excited about doing what my heart tells me to do, what my soul tells me to do, what my higher self tells me to do, what all of these forces tell me to do for my betterment. But first and foremost, I'm learning that my commitment is to myself. And whether you listen to the story and you believe in intuition or not, or you're on that journey or you're not, and you're thinking about, well, like, like that inner voice versus the voice for you is a parent or a teacher or sorry, a mentor or a role model. I think that there is such a big lesson in learning to understand, what do you need? What do you desire? What do you need to feel your best? What is that, like, it's hard to understand even for me and conceptualize a little bit, because I'm like, my intuition is my inner voice and I am my inner voice, but like, what do you need in order to show up as your best self? And sometimes that means not listening to your intuition. Sometimes that means not listening to that parent or that teacher or that mentor who you think knows what's best for you. How can we start to develop and cultivate this relationship with ourselves? Because ultimately, our bodies, like, I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of parts of us that we need to nurture and love and have a really strong relationship with before we can set out on any journey, before we can accomplish things in our finances or our careers. We have to really cultivate this loving relationship with ourselves. And I feel like that's what was in conflict for me last week. Like, do I truly choose like my physical self, my human self, for lack of a better word? Or do I choose my intuition and like I go on this path I think I'm supposed to be on, and like maybe I have this great life-changing thing happen, but maybe I'm fucking miserable. Sorry. Maybe I'm freaking miserable. And ultimately, everything worked out. I think what's meant to happen is going to happen. And similar in my books, like by the end of the book, she confronts her mom and she almost kills her. I mean, okay, it's funny because in the book she thinks she's supposed to kill her mom, but she's not supposed to. That's not what the lesson is about. And like, that's another thing about life, right? Like, this book just like blew my freaking mind. Like, we think we're supposed to do something. We're so set, like, this is my purpose, this is my path. And then you get to there, you take all the right steps, you build that trust in yourself, you love yourself, you get there, and you're like, oh my gosh, my path was C. And the whole time I was convinced it was A, but it was actually C. So, anyways, I know that was a bit of a windy road, but I feel like I learned so much about trusting myself. And I guess my like bad advice in this sense, it's so funny. My like, partly my intuition was my bad advice, which is not true. It's just in this situation. I fully believe like my intuition knows what's best for me, and I'm here to cultivate the deepest, strongest relationship with my intuition. But like, don't let anybody else tell you what to do. If it feels wrong, it probably is wrong. And I think it was so hard for me last week because I understood both paths, but I needed to prioritize that part of me that was wounded and exhausted and tired. She needed a little more loving last week. And what's best for you is my good advice. Listen to yourself, feel out yourself, make a list of pros and cons, phone a friend. My advice with phoning a friend is phoning a friend who thinks expansively versus like small. And it's just something I've started to realize as I get older. I want to talk to people. I want to get help from people who think big, who are not there to tell me that person sucks. Sometimes you do need to hear that person sucks, but I don't want to hear that person sucks. I want to hear about, okay, the situation is teaching you to be so much better. That person is triggering the shit out of you so you can become a better person. Side tangent. But yeah, phone a friend, whatever you feel like you need to do. But ultimately, you are the only one who can make the best decision for yourself. It doesn't matter what anyone else says or thinks or what your role model says or what your parent says. It is you. You can only make the best decision for yourself. Okay, friends, thank you so much for listening. I am going to be so much better about, sorry, I'm not even going to phrase it that way. Just I'm going to release a video every week. That was my intention when I started. That's where I'm going to go with this. And thank you so much for listening. And as always, if you have any questions, need anything, feel free to reach out. I am here for you always. And have a good, well, it's evening now here in Austin, but have a good day, week, weekend, evening, whatever it may be, whenever you're listening to this. Okay, bye.